The northern entrance to St Bartholomew's Hospital, and here stands the only statue dedicated to Henry VIII in London. There's been a hospital here since 1123, and when the Orthodox St Bartholomew's Priory was dissolved in 1539, the hospital's ability to operate as a medical facility for the citizens of London was in jeopardy. It wasn't until 1546 that Sir Richard Gresham, the Lord Mayor of London at the time, petitioned the King and made him aware of this fact, and King Henry VIII bequeathed the hospital to the Corporation of London, and weeks before he died in 1547 he bequeathed property and finance to enable it to continue. So this is the only statue of Henry VIII in London. There's also another connection with Henry VIII in Smithfield, because he looks down upon Smithfield execution site. This place was used as a place of execution throughout London's history. It was outside the walls of the city of London. This is where traitors who were condemned were brought here, where their punishments were carried out. These executions would take place in public. Among those that were executed at Smithfield during the reign of Henry VIII was Richard Roos. He was found guilty of trying to assassinate Bishop John Fisher. Bishop John Fisher was Archbishop of Rochester, and on the 5th of April 1531 Richard Roos was found guilty of attempting to assassinate him, and he was brought here to Smithfield, where he was lowered into a cauldron and boiled to death in public. Thomas Abel, chaplain to Henry's first wife Catherine of Aragon, would die a martyr when he was burnt at Smithfield on the 30th of July 1540 together with 5 other priests. They had refused to acknowledge Henry VIII as the supreme head of the Church of England. On the 12th of July 1546, Anne Askew was brought to Smithfield to be burnt at the stake, along with 3 other heretics who were condemned by the King's laws of heresy against the sacrament of the altar. Askew had been tortured on the rack in the hope that she would reveal the names of other heretics. She did not reveal any names, and because her limbs were dislocated she was unable to walk and had to be carried out of the Tower of London for the execution, which was carried out in the presence of the Lord Mayor of London at the time and the Duke of Norfolk, who saw Askew suffer amongst the flames. Today there's a small mention of this horrid piece of part of Tudor history just at the entrance, where it mentions that this was the site of executions. But slightly off topic, behind me, this relates to the memorial relates to the execution of Sir William Wallace on the 23rd of August 1305. He was brought to Smithfield Market, where he was hung, drawn and quartered. This is where Sir William Wallace was executed, just where these trees are, 200 years before the reign of Henry VIII.